Hi, welcome to Monday Night Chat episode 153. Tonight there are three segments. The first one is Meet the Councillors, where we're having the famous councillor from Kinrara, George Yap. And then the second part is we're going to do This Week in Parliament. We haven't been doing it, even though we've been having Parliament sitting, so we should do it. And then the third one is going to be a Q&A session open to all. Yeah. Joining me tonight are, where are my officers? Who's up? Okay. Josh is here. Dashini is here. When my intern is here, Bala. Okay. And Serene. Okay. You guys wamush first. We'll start with the George Yap interview. Okay, George, welcome to the show. How are you? How are you feeling today?
I'm very good, YB.
Good. Okay, now, Josh, we're going to ask you some questions. Let's start with just some introduction. Josh, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Are you married? Children? You know, those kind of basic things that people ask. Yeah?
All right, YB. I'm married with one wife, two children.
One wife only,
One wife. Cannot get a second wife. Too expensive to have a second one. So I have one only. But my daughter is already have two because it really burdened me. One is 12, one is 16 years old.
So 16 will be what? Form 4, is it?
Form 4, yeah.
Form
Just
4
today, Form 4.
Just today, Form 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Josh, what were you doing before? I mean, how long have you been a councillor? First question. How long have you been a councillor?
I start my appointment as a councillor since 2013 May, after I replaced YB Wong Chen when YB Wong Chen that time was a councillor, and when he became the Adun, and then I have been appointed to replace him as a councillor. Since then, 2013 until now. I
2013,
think it's about 8 years plus.
8 years plus.
9 years.
Wow, going to be 9 years. That's how long I've been a member of parliament also. You know, it's been a long time. Yeah, long time. So let me ask you, Josh, what were you doing before you became a councillor?
I was the insurance agent, life insurance agent, and general insurance agent. I also practicing the financial planning. I have my registered financial planner qualification. I get all my examinations, all this stuff. But after that, that time before I joined as a councillor.
Okay, so
but
you're
now
financial
I'm no
planner.
longer insurance agent because as a councillor job is quite sometimes full time. It's part time become full time, so I have to pass all my my business to my wife, and now my wife is my boss. So at office, I have to mention my wife not by name. I will tell her my boss. Okay.
That's very important. My wife also the boss in the house. That's normal.
Okay. Problem to me in office, my wife also boss. In the house, my wife also boss.
Okay, so let me ask you. A lot of people don't understand that. They think the councillor job is very high pay. It's not high pay, right? What is your salary, George?
Councillor basic allowance is 2005. But back to year, if I'm not mistaken, back to year during that particular Pakatan riot that time, I think year 2000. That is when the beginning of the Pakatan riot that time. I think that time is councillor salary is only 500. Now have been gradually increased to 2005. But when we attend the meeting, we have allowances and add up together. In short, 1 month we were able to have 3,600 to 4,000.
Okay lah, 3,600 to 4,000. Okay, not bad lah. I mean, still very tough lah. Yeah,
city life is tough. City life is tough. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have an assistant to help you?
I have an assistant. Council give us 2005 to engage with assistant. So I have 2005 to employ 2 assistants.
Oh, I see. Two assistants to help you lah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell me about Zone 16? How big is your zone? What area is in your zone?
Zone 16 is consists of the business area and residential area. We start with the Taman Kinrara Puchong, and then Lake Edge, then come to the Tesco Pusat Bandar Puchong, Setia Walk, and go further will be the Wawasan, and then go further up will be the Bandar Putri. Bandar Putri 1, Bandar Putri 12. Our border is until the Hatamas.
Oh, until Hatamas, all the way there.
Border, yeah.
I see. Okay.
And
okay.
Border with the Pusat Bandar Puchong is next of the border is in the Puchong Jaya. So I'm not Puchong Jaya. Then after Puchong Jaya is under the Pusat Bandar Puchong. That is under Zone 16.
So you also live in Kinrara, right? You actually live in Kinrara.
I live in Taman Kinrara area. I live in PUJ Puncak Jaliu.
Oh, I see. So this is like more or less your neighborhood lah.
PUJ address actually is Siri Kembangan, but under the SPR is under the Kinrara and also under your YB under you lah.
Yeah, under Subang lah. Yeah, Subang. You know, that lately we were given a record of the census, the latest census from the government. You know how many people live in my constituent? You guess and see, Josh. You take a guess lah.
I think
in Subang Parliament, how many people?
Subang Parliament now the current voter after the
not voter population.
Population.
You guess lah.
I calculate voter first. Voter I think is about 2,000 per times to 250,000 voter plus minus. I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Come with the population becomes about near to 1 million.
No, not so big, not so big. The total population is 487,000.
Okay.
Yeah? That's
your voter is about 250,000, isn't it?
Yeah, 250,000. After the automatic registration.
Yeah.
So you actually multiply by, because most voters are from 18 to to 99 years old. How many, right? So the bulk of the population. So it's about 487,000. Your area, Kinrara, is roughly 240,000. Half is from your area. The other half is from Subang Jaya. Okay, for those who do not understand the councillor's job, right? The councillor is what we call the local government, MBSJ. Yeah. And after MBSJ, you got the Adun, which is YB Eng Zihan, who's a very good Adun. And then also on the Subang Jaya side is YB Michelle Eng. And then after that is the parliament. So it goes like local, state, and then the national, right? So Josh, can you tell us what is your typical area that you have to cover? What is your job scope is what? What are you looking after in the local government? Is it longkang? The joke is always like that. What exactly is it you all have to do?
Actually, YB, the council job initially started by collecting the Tahi one.
Okay.
Initial job. That is the initial job for council. That's why council is under the Pejabatan. But lately, after the so many years, moment council job have been expanded from basic service like the rubbish, the sewerage, rubbish, road maintenance, the longkang maintenance, the lighting. That is basic. Then council also having another function called planning. We do have a local plan to make sure every corner of this council administrative area have been allocated to the certain function on that particular piece of land, like school land, like the Tatika, like the playground, commercial area, residential area, factory area, the buffer zone within. All it will be been in place by under the Rancangan Tempatan. In council, currently we have Rancangan Tempatan 2020 to 2035. So this is the Bible for us to go through the local development in the next particular another 15 years.
So the council
So
got more complicated than last time.
yeah,
Last time it just
last time more like service, now become more comprehensive.
planning also.
We also we have 3 tiers of government. Maybe you are in the parliament, right. State, and also local council.
Local government, yeah.
So the local level, as council level, we are the one who first been attached by the people. So that is the every complaint will come to us first, then we will handle the complaint, divert to another agency if we have received such a complaint.
Correct. So Josh, let me ask. I mean, some people have asked me before, how do I become a councillor? How do you get appointed to become a councillor? What is your experience? How did you become a councillor, George?
Well, I was the not RA, I was the JMP chairman in one of the apartment. The apartment name is Skybay. During that time, my apartment having some problem. So I look for the people that able to help me. Then people say, my friend Mutu say, hey, you can look for councillor to help you, especially for allocation or these things. So that's why I start engaging with YB Wong Chen. That time he was a councillor in my area, and then after I talked to YB Wong Chen, and then I found that this is also a community job like JMB. So I involved, and then I become the so-called local leader in my area. So since then, I start my journey. Then from as a AJK, I become the treasurer. Then treasurer become the YB assistant. Now I getting my assistant, YB assistant. Then we start. I start my journey as a to learn from YB how to become a councillor during that time.
Yeah, you're very senior, right? Yeah, George, you're very senior councillor, because I heard that you are the chief of the DAP councillor, correct?
Yes, I am the party whip for DAP. I joined YB in 2009, you know, because 2008, that time I having JMB issue, so I joined 1 year later, 2009.
So you started as a complainant, then become a supporter. Is that right?
Yeah. I think most of my member also start with something like this. They become complainant, and I tell after I solve their issue, I said, why not you join as a local leader, and then let us understand more on your area. Then that is the pathway that I have been going through. I think it's very naturally for a person to join as an MPP member.
Yeah. You know, we had Jen over, the other DAP councillor on the side of Subang Jaya. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, we interviewed her, right? She apparently she was the champion complainer in the whole Subang Jaya. Then I think YB Hannah told her, hey, you complain so much, why don't you become a councillor? Then she became a councillor. That's the story I heard.
She also the assistant for another councillor previously, I think Pui Wing Kyong that time. Also the party
Pui, that's right. I remember Mr. Pui very well.
Yes. She is a very good PA. I say a super woman PA, and qualification is like a councillor. And finally, when party decided, she had been appointed as a councillor.
Yeah, I mean the other councillor I worked a lot with was Ken. Ken is still a councillor, but I think Ken covers 2 areas, covers KL also, I think, apparently, or something. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure on this one. But Ken is under the MPSJ as a councillor. He's very dedicated person, very experienced. He is more than 9 years compared to me. He's the most senior currently in MPSJ.
I think he is also trained as an engineer, so he knows a bit more about planning, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you, George. Okay, any strange story or not? Any story of complaint you want to share with the public? Anything funny or touching? Anything up to you? What is your typical complaint? What do people complain about? And what is strange?
Actually, many people complain to us, and then of course we practice no wrong door policy. Everyone complain to us, we will divert to the necessary agency. If we cannot handle by council level, we will go to ask the council department to go to another agency. For example, if TMB issue, council cannot handle, but like the Tiang is under TMB, we will ask the engineering to handle with TMB. If the issue is regarding to the utilities like telecom, we'll ask them to handle. But what I want to say is that after we practice no wrong door policy, my wife especially thought that the councillor can settle every issue. And sometimes my wife also complained to her own husband, saying that my complaint to you is so difficult to get it solved. Other people you can get it solved, but my wife didn't understand that not every problem can be solved immediately. Some minor one can solve immediately. Some it takes longer time. Some they can take immediate action. Some may need longer action. For example, my wife complained. And my wife complained is that they got a site opening. So when my wife called me, said that there is a site opening. So expected in next hour the burning site will be clear everything. So sometimes very difficult lah. We will send to the respective department. They have to do their job and then clear it up. Eventually will clear, but my wife expectation is a bit high on this one, especially say people sleep next to in the same bed cannot handle my complaint immediately. So that is a problem lah. Especially my wife is my boss, and sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah, your wife also the breadwinner right now, so you cannot argue.
I have to handle her personally.
No, seriously, when we are in this kind of line, right, which is like a bit like politics, lah, even as an MP, we have to sacrifice a lot of time lah from the family. So that's why whatever we do, Josh, we have to respect them lah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't understand. They think it's not a normal job. I mean, people got call you at night, got call you all the time, I get a lot of messages all the time. Do you get 1 o'clock at night, got people kacau you, send WhatsApp lah, this problem, that problem?
No. Actually, I did doing my practice as the local councillor. I did inform to my complainant that when it is not necessary, you can call me, you can WhatsApp me in the night, but I may not able to answer your WhatsApp immediately because I also need time to rest. But my phone will be 24-hour switch on. If it's really emergency, then you still can call me. Provided I awake lah. If I'm not awake, cannot lah. So but the message we definitely will able to see it. For example, if the relating to the flood issue or emergency thing, when the message comes in, and then we will help on this one.
Yeah lah. I mean, it's not easy lah. Yeah, because I also get not only I get issues about complaints, but also people want to give me theory on politics. What I should do, what I shouldn't.
I did inform for the complainant not to call after 12 lah.
That's right.
Not to call after 12, unless it's very important. Unless it's super very urgent.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna end the interview, but the last thing I want to ask you is there any message you want to send to your people in Zone 16, because you are regarded as a very good councillor. You are setting the standard. Do you want to send any message to the people watching this and those people from your Zone 16 in particular?
I think to be a good councillor, maybe not. I don't know. If we can address me as an experienced councillor, because my experience is about 8 years, so 8 to 9 years. So yeah, experience wise, okay. My advice to the fellow listener join YB, the friends of YB, means that for we as a councillor, we are not 100% able to see every area. We need many people to be our ears, to be our eye, to look at the issue on the local issue. For example, the rubbish, because 100% Majlis we are contractor based. So every service that we are offering is by the contractor, and we need someone able to help us to look at whether the contractor is doing the job or not. Of course, we as a councillor, we are the policy maker. After we receive the complaint, if a lot on this area, then we will make decision whether the policy having issue or not. If the policy having issue, then we adjust the policy so that the complaint on the particular area will be reduced. So I think I need more information from the public to be our ears and eyes on this one. But definitely in our MPP, we have a very interesting area. We have a woodball area in Taman Kinrara. I hope everyone who listen to this interview can come to Wawasan to enjoy the sport. We call it woodball, and it's very interesting and try to learn. I try to have fun in Wawasan.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I actually enjoyed the woodball game. I went to your place about 3 weeks ago, around 3 weeks ago or 1 month ago to try lah, right? So a lot of fun, and it's good use of public space lah. Yeah, get some exercise and all that.
It is.
You know. So thank you so much, George. Thanks for dropping by and giving your views. I hope the people listening to this will get a better understanding. As George say, he can only perform if the community helps him. And then the community, for us who are politicians and at the different level, we depend on people like Josh to look after all of you. So thank you, and keep up the good work again, Josh. Okay, see you, Josh. Okay, we're moving to the thanks. Okay, okay. Now we're moving on to the next topic, which is this week in Parliament. I'm gonna ask my officers to join me back, and but first let's hit the slide button on this issue. Okay, Dashini is here with me, and where's the rest of the? Should we bring them in? Let's bring everybody in. Yeah, Bala's here, Wen is here, and Serene is here. Okay, this is now, today is the final week of Parliament in actual fact, right? This is a 4-week session. We missed out the first and second week. So this is really a recap of last week. Okay, so let's start the slides. I think we have to thank Wen for his work for doing this. Okay, let's start the slides. Okay, this is referring to the 14th of March, which is the last Monday. Usually I get to Parliament very early because it's either I send my kids to school, then I get there and go straight. So at 9 o'clock, I was checking through the Hansard documents. Hansard documents are essentially whatever speeches I make, whatever interjection I make in the hall is recorded down. Yeah, it's recorded down, and then I have to check through whether the recording is correct or not, the spelling is correct, or what I meant to say is correct. So you can see this document on the left, which is white color. It looks like a borang like that we have to sign. Yeah, so that's the Hansard document verification. Hansard is also used when you are holding meetings, and I hold, I have meetings in the select committees. Those are recorded as well. Okay, so Hansards are official records, and the word comes from UK. There must have been a Mr. Hansard who was in charge of recording all this kind of thing as a start. Okay, so basically on that morning, I also received a reply from the government. I asked about the carbon credit issue, which was highly controversial in Sabah, where a Singaporean company got a 100-year concession and 30% of the proceeds from any carbon credit deal, which is clearly lopsided. Yeah, at most, I would think that any contract, any broker, any deal maker out there should only earn the maximum of 2% only, and that's the rate of someone trying to sell a house. What more trying to sell carbon credit for 100 years? I mean, that's crazy. Okay. And then later at 1 p.m. on Monday, there's a lot of work actually. Wen was parked in my office for 2-3 days, yeah, running through the election data. And also, I mean, yeah, strictly speaking, election data has nothing much to do with parliament work, but we have to crunch this data because we have to advise the senior leaders. So when we spend a lot of time crunching this kind of data, like when is our intern, when Wave, he's trying to study, is trying to go and do his degree in data science. Yeah. And then also I had a meeting with the finance economy chair, who is the YB Rompin, YB Hassan. I am this deputy lah. So we discuss issues on finance and economy and what kind of meetings we should have. And also we had discussion regarding standing order reforms, where we work with the NGOs to try to get some of these reforms done. That was Monday. Okay, let's move on. Tuesday, I had a very early Zoom session, again early in Parliament. I had a meeting with the British High Commission officer. There's an officer out there who looks into policy issues and parliamentary matters. So occasionally some embassies or High Commission will contact me to get a view on what's going on. Sometimes they give me their view on this issue, other issues. So usually I'll ask them, it's like a two-way traffic. We give some information, they give us back some. I asked quite a lot about UK's position on Ukraine and what's the development there. So this was quite an important, useful meeting. Okay, and then at 12 o'clock, YB Eng Zian, my Adon, George, just now we interviewed him. It works directly under Zihan. So Zihan came by together with YB Seputeh, which is Teresa Kok, and the DBKL mayor was there, and the Federal Territories Minister, YB Shaidan Kasim. We talked about the Taman Kinrara flood, and one of the solutions other than building a bund is to dredge the Kolam Boho, which is upstream. And Kolam Boho has been fully silted up. Yeah. So this was an important meeting because, we calculated for Taman Kinrara 1,000 plus houses affected by the floods, of which the property damage is around 20 million for the two floods in December and also later in recently in March. Okay, next. More on Tuesday. So after meeting the Shaidan Kasim to talk about Kolam Boho, of course, I went to see Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man, who is the Minister of Environment and Water, and that's actually at 3 o'clock, to also express his to get his support to expedite the building of the bund, which is under JPS power. Okay, but on Tuesday at 1 o'clock is the policy meeting of all Keadilan MPs. Every Tuesday when Parliament is in session, we will continue to have this kind of briefing where I gave a speech on Johor election together with YB Fuzia, and then there was an open discussion on the matter, and then we also discussed legislation. So every Tuesday, 1 p.m., all the Keadilan MPs get together, have a working lunch. We usually tapao some sort of food, and then I'm in charge of the policy issues. So usually I will set the agenda for the meeting. So tomorrow is Tuesday, and tomorrow I'm supposed to set the agenda, but unfortunately, tomorrow I have an extremely busy day. I'll be going to the gender responsive budgeting event instead of the policy meeting. Okay, so that's Tuesday. Guys, when I know was mostly there together at Bala, right? So you guys were not really taking part in this kind of thing. So Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday, typical day. We usually have representatives to come and tell us about specific policy. And in this case, we had a Dr. Helmi. Dr. Helmi is contracted. He's actually a surgeon, a lung surgeon, but he's contracted by the Ministry of Health to help with the anti-smoking campaign and the new legislation. Yeah. So as you can see in this photo, there is Lee Kang on the far left, Chang Lee Kang, and then in the closer to him on the right is Dr. Lee Boon Chai. Dr. Lee Boon Chai used to be the Deputy Health Minister. Yeah. So I know Helmi quite well. In fact, we've had it on Monday Night Chat before to talk about COVID-19. So Helmi, Boon Chai, and myself and Lee Kang had a discussion on the anti-smoking campaign. And my office in 2019 wrote a policy paper on customs and excise duty tax or sin tax on smoking. And our policy back then is a simple one, which is to put the cost of, say the cigarette is $1, right? So we put a 70% tax on it. So the cigarette then become $1.70. And that seems to be the most effective policy to reduce smoking. Yeah, and this is proven by developed countries where smoking rates have fallen. Okay, what do we have else on Wednesday? Wednesday, then 3 p.m. I had a Zoom meeting with the business community of USJ1 to discuss flood mitigation measure because other than Taman Kinrara, USJ1 also was badly hit by flood. People lost a lot of stocks, assets, and machinery were spoiled. So we also pushed JPS to quickly do this, and we talked about the basic bund system, and that could cost up to 800,000. Again, we then go and see Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man to try and lobby him and tell him, look, please expedite the Taman Kinrara and the USJ1 project. Okay, next. I remember this Wednesday was super long. So at 6:30, it was at 6:30 I had to attend the Nordic Day celebration. Nordic Day, I think, if you Wikipedia, is basically, if I can get it right, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, and Iceland. So these countries have this thing called Nordic Day. They're considered the Nordic countries, right? So in Malaysia, I think the Finnish embassy is still around. The Danish embassy has moved to Indonesia, right? But I'm actually quite close to the Norwegian ambassador, the new Norwegian ambassador. The former Norwegian ambassador was extremely close to me. Yeah. So the new one, Mr. Morten Paulsen. So I went to see him. So he's on the left. And then as in all these embassy events, of course, you see other ambassadors. So I was seated next to the ambassador from Singapore, my good friend, Vanu. Yeah. So we discussed about, typical bilateral issues. In this particular case, I remember talking to him about the 1st of April reopening a Malaysian border and whether Singapore is going to attach and meet up on the same thing. Yeah. So after that, by accident, I also met up with the Bangladeshi ambassador, Mr. Sawa, right? If you look at the photo, he looks a little bit like the former speaker, Tan Sri Arif. So from a distance, I thought it was Tan Sri Arif. So I just ran up and said, hey, Tan Sri, how's it going? Then he said, oh, well, then he turned around, and then I found out he was actually the Bangladeshi ambassador. But we had a good chat. And we discussed really about the MOU that the Ministry of Labour is supposed to sign with the Bangladeshi government. And, I just got an update from him. It doesn't look that great. Yeah. Okay. So that was Wednesday. Okay, next. Thursday. Now, this was an easier day. Yeah. Thursday was relatively simple, except in the morning when I get into Parliament, I have to do all the computation on the supplementary budget. The supplementary budget, the government will table it tomorrow for debate. Unfortunately, as Bala and Dashini and Serene knows, my calendar for tomorrow is kind of super packed, right? It's like back to back. I was supposed to have the National Recovery Council meeting in Putrajaya. Thank God that got deferred or postponed. Otherwise, I have to go to Putrajaya, rush back to Parliament. At 1 o'clock, I have a gender responsive budgeting event organized by, who organized this? Westminster Foundation, right, for Democracy. Yeah. So where I'm due to speak, right, for a few minutes at least. Then I have that policy meeting for PKR, which most likely I cannot attend, and followed by the International Inter-Parliamentary Union, the IPU, which IPU is like the United Nations of Parliament, right? Where I'm in the committee for science and technology, and they are actually meeting physically in Bali, and I've decided not to go. So I'm going to Zoom with them from 2 to 5 p.m. I think. Yeah, that's the slotted time. That means I have no opportunity to speak whatsoever in the budget. Yeah. So 9 a.m. of course sat down, did all the budget computation, advised the Dato Sri Anwar, of course, as the leader of opposition, briefed some of my MPs what's going on. The government supplementary budget is 14 billion. And it's due to several factors. One, the COVID got really bad in 2021, as all of you remember. So the government had to spend more. but oil prices also went up, so the government had to subsidize more, right? And this may not be the only supplementary budget. There might be a second or third supplementary budget. Okay. And then at 12:30, we had a chat with Mahasiswa Keadilan. This is the university branch. I think we had them over, right? Dashini was there, yeah, for chat.
Actually, that was me.
No,
For
the
the
other
chat.
Darshini was there. Mahasiswa Keadilan Darshini
okay,
was
see,
there.
now I was getting confused.
Yeah. Sorry, Mahasiswa. Yes, on Thursday, Serene was in Parliament with me, right? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so
sorry, dude.
So we had a chat with the Mahasiswa Keadilan, and then they all wanted to meet Anwar. So I remember when we finished our chat about 1 o'clock, I just took them to the fourth floor, and lo and behold, Anwar is addressing his entire staff of like 20 people, and they were lucky because Anwar just stood up and saw us, waved us, and then they went in and had a photo of him. so I suppose that's the highlight, right? Okay, now that's the district in Parliament. Now I'm gonna talk to my officers to join in, right? To talk about the Parliament sitting. Okay, so this year, this particular session is called a King's Speech session. I've been extremely lucky in the sense that I got to speak first for Keadilan. So I didn't have to wait 2 entire weeks waiting for my turn to speak. So that's why the first 2 weeks was relatively free for me. But as you can see, we have so many meetings and so many other things that happen. But this session has been relatively quiet. Yeah. Okay. So Bala has been spending most of the time in Parliament, right? And anything in particular that because we haven't been doing this in Parliament every week, right? Anything that stood out that you remember in the first 2 weeks? Anything?
The first 2 weeks, I guess the one thing that stood out the most was how empty Parliament was. Walking around, usually you bump into someone, you see YBs walking here and there, like busy preparing their reply speech for the king, right? However, it was very, very empty. Then, it dawned on me it was Johor state elections. Most of the MPs were down on the ground for the Johor state elections. Another thing I also realized, this is because I'm also part of the WhatsApp group for the PH MPs officers. Yeah, so a lot of them reported that YB positive COVID. So a lot of them that went down to Johor contracted COVID. So yeah, I guess on top of being absent for because the state election, they were also positive for COVID, close contact for someone. So Parliament was very, very empty. Yeah.
Yeah. On that note about COVID, I think I remember the first week there was a report, or I don't know whether it's been publicized or not, but about 22 MPs had COVID in that very first week alone. And then of course today Kit Siang has been found positive, and also Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim who attended the DAP function on the weekend also has been tested positive. We hope for their quick and speedy recovery. Yeah. But you're right. It's that really strange period when Parliament was very empty. Our office, we're not trying to compare to other people. We tend to attend every Parliament session, and we went down to Johor on the days when we're not in Parliament, which is Friday and the weekends. Yeah. Serene, how about you? You got any reflection on what's happening in Parliament? You were there a couple of days only, right? Not a lot, right?
Yeah, not much compared to Darshini and Bala. It was just, other than what Bala said, it being quiet. Nothing that really stick out in my head other than the petrol subsidy. I think it was that, I'm not sure, was it that Thursday or Wednesday I was in Parliament, something about the petrol subsidy because of the Ukraine-Russia conflict and everything. That stood out. And also when I was just that actually,
Yeah, that one I went to see Tunku Zafrul directly straight after that. I had a 5-6 minute chat with him. And today I chat the committee for finance. I haven't posted anything. I'll probably post it up tomorrow because we're waiting for pictures from the secretariat, right? That was really to deal with the petrol issue. The Ukraine war, a lot of people misunderstand. Most Malaysians, they are either pro-Russia for whatever reason. I have no idea. Our office is a pacifist office. We don't believe in war as a solution, you know. So all those who are pro-China, pro-Russia, I mean, it's your view. I don't want to debate about this issue. But to say that this war, 8,000 kilometers, has no impact on Malaysia, that's complete rubbish. Okay?
Yeah.
Russia produces the most wheat. Yeah, when there's a sanction, Ukraine produced like the world number one on sunflower seed, sunflower oil. There is a direct impact on oil costs to the world. Since Russia supplies the gas to Europe, and this is could potentially go under threat, right? Then you got oil prices spiraling out of control to 140 at one point. Now drop back to 100. That's going to impact us in the petroleum costs. Yeah, while we can make some money, the subsidy is going to be impacted severely. Okay, so I remember that one very well. Sorry, yeah, the one about the petrol subsidy, because it's really about the Ukraine war. It's not really about anything else. That's why whatever we do, whether you're pro-Russia, pro-China, I don't care. Seriously, I just find it sickening that some people think that this is a good time to conflate global issues, right, and not look at the suffering of the people. You know, but you know, focus. The pain is going to be felt by us because of that war. Therefore, all of us should focus on ending that war, unjustified war. Yeah. Dashini, what are your views? What do you think about the parliament session so far?
I think I echo what Bala and Serene said, but also I think that YB Iza pointed something out today, which I think is really true. There's a lot that's happening outside of Parliament, which should be happening inside of Parliament. So the announcements with regards to the raising of minimum wage and things like this, they are not ministers for a particular group of people. They are ministers for the entire Malaysia. So why are these announcements made in their general meetings or general assembly meetings and things like that? So that stood out because I think leading up even from the Johor elections, you can see a lot of things that's happening outside of Parliament, not much happening inside Parliament, and so now we're seeing more of that as well. So that's it.
Yeah. Okay. The last question, I'm going to leave it to Wen, because Wen, this is your first ever visit to Parliament. So can you tell us about your impression? Do you expect Parliament to be like this? Is it impressive? Is the building big? What are your impression about the Malaysian Parliament? First time visiting. Yeah.
Well, I think the building itself is quite big, and um, although I think I only entered several buildings, I haven't gone to the ones with a lot of ministries. Um, but speaking of the mood there, it was rather empty from what I had expected. I was at the office a lot, and when I went out, I didn't see a lot of members of parliament there. But
Yeah.
it was a chilling experience for me.
Okay. I think most of the interns, the highlight is actually to attend Parliament, right? Yeah, because you get this impression. That's why I don't know. I mean, I'm so used to it. So I remember being elected for the first time. You go into the building, you feel the history of it, right? You feel the history, the significance, the importance, why this job is supposed to be honorable. But obviously, many MPs think that it's okay not to attend Parliament. So I don't know where that honor went on that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So Bala, you want to say something about this? Anything?
No, I just
About
wanted to
Parliament?
note that in your reply speech, you mentioned about living wages, about minimum raising the minimum wage and living wages. It's just good to finally see that happening.
Yeah.
Although the announcement was probably not the best place to announce, but I'm just glad that is actually happening, and yeah, a good time as well. I mean, overdue, but it's a good time nevertheless.
I remember this minimum wage thing that we've been fighting for so long. I just I caught up with Rafiki recently, and then we were talking about it. 10 years ago, when I first started politics, I was assigned to together Rafiki on the policy side, and we talked about this 10 years ago, and we put the rating for 1,500, right? So a two-income family, like the husband and wife both works, they can bring at least 3,000 a month to the family, to survive. And to see it realized finally, ironically, by our opponents, right, is a bit sad in that sense. Yeah. But at the same time, of course, at least it's going somewhere. So it has come to fruition. But in the early days when we proposed it, many people whacked us as stupid, idiots, illogical, no economic sense. That kind of argument. So it's quite ironic that the Barisan Nasional, after 10 years later, now champions it as their program. But to me, it's not about who wins or who gets the credit. Yeah, I think this is long overdue, and it's not enough now in the context of today. Today it should be around 2005.
Yep.
Yeah,
In your speech, you mentioned 2006.
yeah, 2007 to be precise.
Oh yeah, 2007. Yes, correct.
Yeah, that's right. The 2007
2007.
is based on the UN report. Yeah. Okay, that's why we use that number. Okay. While this is the bittersweet situation in Parliament, sometimes you fight for something, but if your enemy finally takes it and does something out of it, why not?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for this week in Parliament. Now we do a quick session because we have another event at 9:30, right? With some
Yes.
UK student. So you see, this my job hasn't ended since 9 o'clock in the morning until now, but but that's the way it is lah. We're gonna do some quick Q&A, and then we have to end at 9:30. Okay, let's hit the button for Q&A. Okay, what do we have, Dashini? Any questions out there? We can't hear you, Dashini.
Oh, sorry, boss. Okay, I think we have one that we've been getting quite a lot, so I think it would help for you to just recap what's happened in Taman Kinrara, because I think Sylvia Chow, she's understandably very upset. So what action has been taken to solve the flood in Taman Kinrara? We do not want flood 3.0.
Yeah, so Taman Kinrara, the most important thing is we know what is the problem, right? So that problem has been the solution for it. JPS, to their credit, rushed out a solution, and then we took it and passed it to the minister. The minister will probably take a month for evaluation, and then they have to do the tender process, which can take another month. Some people told me it take a week only, right? Of course, we want open tender. We don't want any government to be corrupt on this issue. And then hopefully they can start work in my estimate, in May, to start constructing the bund, which may take about 2 months to construct. And this will be in time for the floods if it should happen in December. Yeah. Okay. So Sylvia, that is the situation. When we talk to USJ1 people, the pre-industrial people, they are thinking of putting their own solution, which is never a good idea because you should bring in an engineer, an expert in hydrology, to help. But in terms of government speed, they have to find the money, they have to prepare the report. So now we just have to wait for them to start work. Yeah, there is a process. Unfortunately, as what Josh said earlier, people expect they see a problem, they expect it to be resolved in the next couple of days. It just doesn't work like that. The fastest a project like this will take place is probably 3 months, 2 months. But yeah, for us, we will continue to remind the minister to push for this. And to be fair to Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man, I mean, he lost his mother that day that I approached him. So he was very professional about it, right? The mother passed away. But he is a responsible minister, at least from my interaction with him. And he did say that he will do his best to push for this. Yeah? Okay, Sylvia? Nobody wants a flood 3.0. So we're trying to find the solution and get the money and do this, and hopefully we can resolve it. The big problem is the Klang River floods all the time. And the flood in 2019, after the first year of Pakatan Rule, Dr. Mahathir promised to dredge the entire Klang River. Yeah? And they allocated 300 million to do it. But since then, they have not been able to roll it out. That's the problem. Yeah. So we have to find a temporary solution, which is the bund, and the bund should last 3 to 5 years. Hopefully, if the government says that, that's what they told me, 2023, they will start that 300 million project. but it will take 3 years to do. So 2026
3.
for 23 start, 26
Oh,
complete.
yes.
Yeah. So we need to get those bunds, those barriers, yeah, for temporary solution for 3 to 5 years. Okay, that's what it is. I hope you understand. Please, there is very little we can do. I mean, credit to YB Wong Chen. We work very closely with him. The Selangor government is getting involved as well. But this is really a federal government project under JPS. Yeah, that's why we met up with Shadian Kasim, DBKL, and also Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man. Okay, do you have any more questions out there?
We also have another question from Teresa Kok, which is also flood related, but this is another aspect of it, which is behavioral. So she feels that the clogged drains will never be solved if we do not advise kopitiam owners and hawkers how to dispose of their grease. So I think this is something that YB Wong Chen has also pointed out, that the drains were so filthy. There were fishing nets in the drains at some drains, according to the councillor. So what are your thoughts, boss? What can we do to change behavior?
So this kind of drains are local government issue. So YB Wong Chen is the local government representative for the Selangor, right? He's the exco for local government. So it is under his purview, but at the ground level, at your community level, is people like Josh Yap. So Josh Yap, the councillor, is in charge of that zone 16. So there are individual councillors looking after their zone. Now, clogged drains, in terms of hawker center throwing things inside there, this is a known fact. There are policies to have trap, what they call grease trap for this kind of thing. Whether they enforce or not depends on how hard the councillor work. So I can't say what their performance is, right? But whether these clogged drains actually cause flooding and all that, there is a minor indirect causal issue. Yeah, the cause is still heavy flood, heavy rain, extremely short heavy rain, and that's really related to the signs of climate change. Yeah, and this kind of thing, you will see the cycle of extreme rain happening more and more. Therefore, the rush now is to try and meet the climate change targets, and at the same time strengthen up the defenses of the river, the dredging and all those. Yeah, so those kind of things which are internal drainage, yes, if they're not fully functional, they are not working at 100%, then you may cause some contribution to flood. But the floods that hit Taman Kinrara and USJ1, and in fact the whole of Selangor in December, is to do with torrential rain. Yeah, and the unreadiness of all governments, whether it's local, state or federal, to realize the impact of climate change overall. Yeah. Okay. Do you have more questions on this? We have 7 more minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're going to a bit more of a political question, boss. So we have Mr. Tan here asking, "Hi YB Wong, what are your stands, or what is your stand on Rafizi's return to politics, and I think his recent session with YB Nurul Izzah?"
Yeah, so I'm extremely close to both of them. Yeah, I of course belong to their side, so-called. I mean, in politics, everybody got sides, DAP got Team A, Team B, MIC got Team A, Team B. Everybody has sides. So of course, Rafizi and I go back a long way. When he criticized Mahathir in the PH government, I was the only person to stood out and defend him. Yeah, of course, many of you who are watching this asked me to resign, yeah, for standing up. But then history proves itself, so I don't want to dwell on the matter. But Rafizi and I are extremely close, So I'm really happy to have a colleague of his stature, of his brilliance, his policy mind, back in politics, to try to change the fortunes for PKR, of course. Yeah, whether we criticize our own party, whether we try to defend our party, is still my party, So I do look at this as a very positive sign that is coming back. It's always been a pleasure working with him side by side on policy making. Izzah, of course, we've been close since I joined the party. I think I'm like I'm 54, they are in their 40s, so I'm sort of like the older brother in that sense, but not more powerful than them. These two are like different. I'm like a little puppy. They're like the tigers of politics, but I do enjoy their company, and I like the dynamics that we have as a group. But this is not just Wong Chen and Rafiki and Nurul. This is a lot of other MPs from Keadilan and also PH who are happy to see that he's returned. Okay. Any more questions out there? We have 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I think we have one more that is on MRT3, so we can probably take that. So, Zafran wants to know, what is your stand on MRT3 or big projects like it, I assume? Why nobody push very, very hard on BRT?
Well, the MRT project is an ongoing project. It started off, under whose time is this? Najib's time for sure, right? So usually, if you very allocated a thing, you don't stop the project halfway, yeah. All you have to do is you always have to make sure that you have to ensure that the project is priced properly. Whether I want to say MRT, was overpriced, I mean I'm not going to make allegation because I don't have proof, right? But there's a general feeling out there that in all mega projects in Malaysia, it tends to be overpriced. That means corruption, elements of corruption, abuse of power, the lack of accountability, lack of transparency. All those are common knowledge. Yeah. So if you start a project, do you stop it? If you stop it, you have to pay compensation. Do you abandon it? You can't. Ironically, you can't. You may probably the only thing you should do is you should complete the project, cut costs where possible, trim all the fat, and then find those people and charge them for corruption if you can prove later that corruption happened 5-10 years down the line, before that, when the contract was first signed. Okay. Now the BRT, we have a BRT in Subang Jaya, that was built by I think it's owned by the government, but was built essentially by Sunway. The BRT is dedicated electric buses. As far as I know, the usage is quite limited. I know that students take it and all that, but during COVID, of course, usage has dropped to almost zero. Yeah, BRT is a solution for countries like Indonesia, Colombia, Brazil. We looked at the BRT model before. It's cheap. It is where, if you have a super highway or big highway with 5-10 lanes, right? You put the last 2 lanes smack in the center based on buses. Yeah, it's very cheap to build. Yeah, but we have committed ourselves to MRT. We have existing MRT running, LRT, all this running. So unfortunately, we will most likely continue that path. Yeah, I don't see how the federal highway that links KL to PJ to Subang, I don't see how they're going to demarcate the 2 center lines and push into bus. Yeah, Malaysia, some of these solutions, Zafran, is you see in other countries, it's suited for them. Malaysia has a high, whether you like it or not, a lot of people own cars and vehicles, right? It's got a highly subsidized petrol system. So there is no incentive for public transport. Yeah, whether this is fundamentally flawed, it will take many decades to unwind this kind of thing. Maybe all these reforms will actually come when society feels climate change is is in such a state that all these fundamental reforms need to be done. So at the moment, I take the view that we have to complete the MRT projects. The BRT has proven in Subang to be less effective, maybe due to car ownership. Data need to be better. Car ownership, cheaper petrol. So I don't see how we can run concurrent MRT and BRT. That's extra cost. Okay, but these are good questions. I mean, these are policy issues that we should consider down the line. It's now 9:29. Do we have one last question that we need to do? No, nothing.
No, not really, boss. Most people are asking about the flood, which I think we've addressed. So yeah.
Yeah, so we will try our best to update you on the floods, and we will focus on the flood issue. But the most important thing to tell you is that we will try to engage the minister to constantly get an update from him and push him. Because he has our paper, yeah. If he doesn't move on it, what can we do? I mean, unless all of you agree, let's find 1.6 million. My office can contribute 100, 200,000. You all find me the balance. We do it ourselves. But do ourselves also, we need JPS approval. You know, if we can fund it ourselves, we can do crowdfunding if need be. But it's not easy. Yeah. So we need to spend 800,000 in USJ1. We need to spend 1.6 million in Taman Kinrara. And those budget should come from the federal government. You all as taxpayer already pay your taxes. This is the government that must spend, yeah, on our behalf. It's my job as the member of parliament to chase the minister to do this. It is the job of YB Zihan and YB Michelle to gather the community, get their feedback, and chase the JPS on the Selangor side. So we've done everything we need to do, to be fair. Yeah, and the speed within a week, that's I don't want to say it's an achievement. We've moved fast. Yeah. Now we just have to wait for the ball, which is on the part of the federal government, for the minister to move. Yeah. And we don't want corruption. We want it to be done tender properly, but at the same time, we cannot wait until December floods come, then we're in trouble. We need to complete this project, I think latest like September, October. Yeah. So in the meantime, there are temporary solutions out there. If say, we get a massive flood in May, June. I mean, climate is so strange now, right? We are putting in a siren system. We are trying to tell people to help each other, to monitor the river level. The councillors are constantly on that kind of thing. When it rains in KL, I call them, they go down there and they see the water level. Yeah. Those are the things. There's a difference, because these floods can happen within 30 minutes. If we can raise the alarm 1 hour before, you can try to save as much as property as possible. Yeah. Okay, so when Parliament is over, believe me, we're going to go back to there and we're going to update you all. We have also written to the federal government asking for our money to be released earlier. Yeah, money to member of parliament is released on stages. The next stage is 1st of April, 10 days from now. We actually got a letter of approval from on the 15th, right, Bala? Yeah?
Yep.
It's just that the money hasn't arrived, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So Bala is actually, the first thing every day he's doing is checking our bank account whether the money arrived or not. The moment the money arrives, we will tell you all, and we will dispense money for the 1,000 people who have suffered the second flood. Yeah. It's just that I cannot dispense anything that is not in my bank account. Yeah. Okay. So a bit more patience if you can. Once Parliament is over, our focus will go back strictly to the community, and in particular trying to resolve this flood issue. Okay, on that note, thank you so much. I do need to leave now, and I'm now late by 3 minutes to engage some UK students, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again next week. Bye.